What's up everybody, welcome back to the channel and welcome to another video. Today we're going to talk about loafers, and we're going to talk about a lot of loafers. I put together a list of, I think it's 35 loafer brands or shoemakers even, that I'm a fan of. So I've put that together, so we're going to cut straight into it because obviously there's a lot to get through. Before we do that, I'd just like to ask if you get anything from this video, if you can hit the like and subscribe button. Check out archerandarmwoods.com for pre-owned menswear and sign up to the Substack, The Guidance, which is a newsletter I send out most days with links to pre-owned items I find from all the big resale sites, from all the brands you probably know and love if you watch this channel, including pre-owned loafers as well, which is a really great way to get some of these items because they are investment pieces. They're made to last, and if you can get your head around buying someone else's secondhand shoes, then you can get an absolute steal. So I'll put a link in the description for that. Also, a quick fit check for myself. I've got this shirt on, which is from 100 Hands. This was pre-owned, and I've also got the bottom half of the Natalino suit, and I put the fit pick on from today, there or there, and some Morjas suede loafers as well. But enough about me, let's get into these loafers because there's a hell of a lot to get through. So first up, we have JM Western. Now this is a brand that was easily the most commented on when I posted a reel of my top 12 loafer brands a few months back. I left JM Western off, and it was definitely the one that people were saying I should have added to the list. So they're first on this one. They're a French shoemaker. They make some really beautiful loafers, and they normally come in at around about the sort of £700-800 mark. I particularly like their calfskin suede 180 loafer. They come in at around about £770. And don't worry as well, I will put in loafers for every budget within the list as well. So next up we have Ralph Lauren. So I was in the store a little while ago, and I was really impressed with their array of loafers and footwear in general. The one I quite liked was this black pair, which was the Alden penny loafer. They had it in tan as well, but it really wasn't a particularly nice colour. Tan loafers something I normally would stay away from, but the black ones I really liked. And I do have other styles of loafers as well, but I think coming in at around about £219 is pretty reasonable. So for our third pick, and these aren't in order by the way, but I've gone for Sid Mashburn, particularly their hand-sewn penny loafer in chocolate suede, and these are $350. These have a slightly higher vamp, and they're hand-sewn in Portugal, and they just look really easy to wear in a more casual way. Obviously they look great with like a flannel suit, but also with a pair of jeans as well. So next up we have Crockett and Jones, and I think this is the brand I probably own the most from. I think I have about 4 pairs, each one I bought pre-owned, and they're just super comfortable and really well made. Obviously someone else has worn them before me, but they're in really great condition, and even the ones that are a little bit more cooked, they're just so comfortable, and they patina really nicely, and they just look fantastic, be it with like a suit or a pair of jeans. The ones I really like are the Harvard 2 dark brown suede ones, and they're £475. So they're kind of in that sort of mid-range where, they're on the sort of like more affordable end. You're looking at like 250 to 300, and then you've got the higher end, which is like near a sort of £1,000 mark. Next up we have Spanish shoemaker Berwick. These are really fantastic shoes for a really reasonable price as well. So the ones I really like are their tassel loafers, and they go for around about €215. They just make really simple classic shoes. They've got lots of like penny loafers as well, and again for the price I think they're just a really great option. So talk about really great price, we have GH Bass next, and these are just really fun shoes. Like they're £150. I have the wine penny loafers, and I just wear them like with jeans. They're comfortable, they are well made, and I think as well because of the price, like I felt comfortable going for like a wine colour, something that I maybe wouldn't wear all the time, but it's something a little bit different. Whereas if I was spending like £400, maybe I wouldn't be so open to going for like a colour like that, even though like wine isn't that out there. It's like kind of like ox bloody kind of colour, but it's not something I'd wear every day. Brenson are next, and I definitely feel like these are one of the most underrated shoemakers. I've went from owning like some old Brenson boots years ago, and I have some leather Brenson loafers currently, which have, honestly, I've put them through everything. I've walked across London, I've walked in the snow in them, rain, everything, and they still look great. Yeah, they're a little bit patinaed, but they look fantastic. They're so comfortable, and for the price of like £295 new, that's a pretty reasonable price tag. The ones I particularly like currently are the Lloyd suede penny loafers. They're some like brown suede penny loafers, a little bit lighter, so they're dark chocolate, but I think they're called the sole like a toffee colour, so it gives a little bit of a casual twist to it. So, but yeah, Brenson are definitely one I recommend. And then they're a heritage brand as well. They've been going since like 1866, so they know what they're doing. So next up is another brand that a lot of people recommended to me after my last video, and that's TLB Mallorca. the ones I particularly like are the Ethan Brown suede tassel loafers. They have a really nice sized rounded toe and some really interesting leather soles as well. Like the colour of them is really beautiful. So with the bigger rounded toe, I feel like you can wear them in an even more casual way, maybe some like wider denim. But in general, these are really interesting. And for €386, the price is pretty reasonable as well. Next up, we have John Lobb, a real heritage shoemaker. The ones I particularly like are the Bill leather loafers, and these are £1,700, so they come at a bit of a price, but just absolutely beautiful, sleek black loafers. So John Lobb have been around since 1849, as I said, so their shoes are still made in a traditional way with 190 steps and several weeks involved in the production of each pair. So like there's a lot that goes into these shoes. Obviously that's a lot of money to spend, and I wouldn't say that you have to spend that at all, because I know for sure some of the shoes I have for a lot less than that are going to last me forever, because I don't wear them every day, and you know, if you look after them as well, you extend the lifetime of them, you get them resold if they need to be resold. But if you have it in your budget, John Lobb would not be a bad choice. There's a lot of care, a lot of intention, and a lot of history behind the making of these shoes. Next up, we have Aussie brand Etymology. I've spoken to the guys over there a couple of times on Instagram. They seem really nice, and I'm always on the lookout for brands in other parts of the world as well. So if there's any sort of clients I have or anyone online that asks me questions, I can sort of refer them to or sort of direct them in a way of a place that's more local to them. And Etymology definitely came up quite a lot with some really great reviews for their loafers. The Ito penny loaf in particular really caught my eye. So they have it in like a black calf leather, a chocolate brown sort of suede, and a snuff suede as well. So you've got a really good selection there, and for 450 Australian dollars, that's a pretty reasonable price. I think it's about £275. I can't be too sure, but if you are in that part of the world, they're definitely worth checking out. So next up is one of my absolute favourites, and that's Trickers. When I first started getting back into menswear, I bought a brown pair of leather, I think they're the James Loafer, on eBay. I got them for an absolute steal, and I've been wearing them weekly ever since then. They still look fantastic. I've walked all over the place in them, and I can't recommend them highly enough. And I think buying them new, they come at around about £500, so kind of that sort of midway point of the sort of price ranges we're talking about. And with them, I think you just generally are buying just a solid loafer that's going to really be a workhorse but still also look great. So definitely one I'd keep an eye out for. Next up, we have Wildsmith. Wildsmith are a recently revived brand, but they have a lot of history. So just really try and be brief with it. So in 1847, Matthew and Rebecca Wildsmith started Wildsmith and Sons, military bootmakers, by the coaching in off Piccadilly Circus. So they ended up making shoes, and eventually they created the first slip-on shoe in London called the Model 98. So it's the original loafer essentially. And then it became a favourite of like King George the Sixth and John F. Kennedy. So that was the Model 98 or the Windsor loafer that they make. So like a ton of massive history within that as a brand. And I've been lucky enough to own a pair of their shoes. They're fantastic. I've got a video of them somewhere. If you search my name and Wildsmith, you'll be able to find that. And I've been really impressed with them. And they also just have a really nice selection as well. So you've got like the classic 98 loafer. You've got some like a rubber sole to them as well. You've got tassel loafers, you've got boots, you have like more of a Belgian loafer. So they have like quite a nice selection, and they're all between £230 and £260. So a really great price as well. So for our next brand, we have Italian-based Velasca, and they have a really wide selection from sort of normal sort of penny loafers. You've got horsebit loafers. You've got sort of ones that are more like sort of sandals. Casual ones, more formal ones. There's a ton in there, definitely worth checking out. They range from a price, you can get them around about like £340, but for the sort of like Cordovan leather, you've got going up to like £820. So again, so it's just worth diving in there, seeing what you like, and I feel like there's something for pretty much everyone in there. Paraboot are up next, and these are probably one of the most recognisable in terms of like their silhouette. And these are real workhorses. The ones I picked up with these black leather loafers of theirs, as I say, with a big chunky rubber sole, they're built like an absolute tank. So if you do want a really hard wearing pair of loafers, these could be the ones for you. So next up we have Churches, and I know for some of these people this is controversial, because I know they were like bought out by Prada, and I know that there's a lot of talk about their quality declining over the years. I've owned a couple of pairs, and to be honest, from my experience, I've really enjoyed them. I have bought them pre-owned, I have to be clear about that, so I haven't spent the money. I think sometimes when you when you do buy a pre-owned item and you haven't invested the sort of the full price. So these go, so the ones I'm looking at here, these are the Milton suede loafers, which I really like. They're £740, so it's a significant amount. And if I'm out there spending £100 on them, I don't feel like that investment, that emotional investment is in there to have maybe the opinion, to warrant the opinion of someone who's really spent the full whack and is not happy with their purchase. So I think all opinions are completely valid. I know people that do buy shoes from them and are completely happy. But I speak from my own personal point of view, the ones I've owned, the ones I've tried on in store, I've generally been really impressed by it. But let me know in the comments below, what are your thoughts on Churches? Next up we have Baudoin and Lange, and I own a pair of these, and honestly I absolutely love them. I have a black pair of their sort of like penny loafers, and they are sleeker. They're definitely the most, I think they're pretty much the dressiest shoe that I own. And I do sort of wear them quite sparingly because of that, even though I probably shouldn't. They're beautifully made, and I'm a little bit protective over them in a way because of that reason. Like, I just feel like I should bring them out for special occasions. They're unbelievably comfortable, and they just hold your foot in a different way. It feels like it could be completely in my head, but there's something special about these loafers. Again, they are a bit sleeker, they're a bit more dressy. You can get some with like a rubber sole if you did want, but I feel like if you're going to go for a pair of these, go for that purpose. Go for the sort of more I mean, you could go for the full sort of slipper look, or you could go for their stride ones, which are just like the standard sort of like penny loafers. They range from around about like £380 to, well, around about like £600. They do have like the odd pair which is like lizard skin, which is like 1,500 or something like that, but the majority are between £300 and £600 ish. Horatio are up next, and definitely one of my favorite brands in terms of just something a little bit more creative and different. I really like their social media, like the images they put out. What I like about them, with their sort of creative expression with the loafers, they still keep it quite classic in a way. So you'll have like a horsebit loafer in like a brown leather, but with like a basket weave. So there's a little bit of something different there. It's just like a textural sort of difference, but it's still a brown horsebit loafer. So there are some that are a little bit more out there, like there's a silver loafer, there's some with a few brighter colours, but in a way they're still that little bit understated. I'm trying to sort of work out why that is in my own head, because I think even the sort of like different colours, like they've got a multicoloured one which is like red, yellow and green. They're not bright colours. They're still red. I think it's like red, blue and green and yellow, and they're just still a little bit muted. So in a weird way, whilst it's not one I would choose to buy, I still feel like I could wear it. And as I said, with their sort of Instagram and social media presence, I just really enjoy the photos they take. They're kind of like snapshotty. They're out and about in the city, so you can get a good idea of how you might want to style or wear them, and a sort of like modern way of selling shoes. I think they've absolutely nailed it. Office and Creative are up next, and these are a really interesting brand. Like they have just a really different sort of silhouette where they look sort of like a lot softer, a lot more casual, a bit like worn in terms of their shape as well. So I was just reading a bit about them, and they say they employ advanced washing and burnishing finishes. So each pair undergoes over 100 processes to achieve an authentic lived-in patina. So it's interesting, they've actually purposely put that into the shoe. The ones I really like were their Saks 001 loafers, which are so they're handcrafted in Italy, and they're made from like their cashmere suede. So it's like really soft suede. They just look like a really comfortable pair of shoes. I also really like that sort of mid-brown colour that they've got going on. They look also like a little bit stony or beigey as well. And these are £550. Next up we have Drake's. One of the great pleasures of shopping in London is going to Drake's and Savile Row and just looking at their shoe selection. It's all sort of like racked up there. They've got absolutely tons of different sort of styles of shoe, pretty much every shoe you'd ever want. Their Charles leather penny loafers are a particular favourite of mine. Just a nice black pair of penny loafers, which have like a good size to them. I wouldn't call them like hefty, but they've got just like a nice size to them. So again, ones that you can wear a bit more casually, or you can wear them with like, they look great with like a flannel suit. But I mean, you can get away with wearing them in pretty much most situations. But just because of that sort of size to them, they're handcrafted in Northampton, have a mock stitch toe, and they're also set on Goodyear welted soles as well. And these are £495. Next up, we have George Cleverly, and similar to the Drake's ones, they're just a very slight extra bit of heft to these. Not in a chunky way, they just have a little bit of, sit on a higher profile. And ones I really like were these can suede penny loafers. These are £660. They have a really nice mid to dark tone to them, and just reading the notes here, so it says they have high walled round toes and they're slimmer towards the back, so it just gives a really nice shape to them. So a bit about the brand as well. So they have a workshop in London's Royal Arcade, and they say all their shoes are Goodyear welted and crafted with the finest leathers, and they've been owned by everyone from Sir Winston Churchill to Alexander McQueen, so pretty solid client base there. And so next up we have a bit more of a modern brand. So this is Yucatan, and Yucatan, they're founded by Yuki Matsuda in 1989, and these were first brought to my attention when I was listening to the Throwing Fits podcast. They mentioned the brand a few times, and I've been following them ever since. I've really liked what they've been putting out. They do some really interesting like backless loafers, some sort of like mock toe boots. But the ones I particularly like are the Rob Suede penny loafers, and these are £595. So again, in that sort of mid-range point, they have some really interesting stitching to them, and I like their sort of, they call it dark brown suede, but it has a sort of like grey sort of tinge to it, which I quite like. So yeah, the Yucatan are a nice sort of like a bit of a wild card option for me. Similar to our next pick, which is Vinnie's. They have some sort of like timeless classics, but also with some little modern twists going on. So like some Belgian loafers with like croc effect leather. It's so interesting with the texture. I particularly really like these because they're just something a little bit different. You've got that classic Belgian sort of sleekness, but with just, as I say, like a bit of texture in there, something different that you wouldn't really see around too much. But if you want something a little bit more classic, they do just do like a suede penny loafer or just a sleek black sort of Belgian loafer as well. We've got an American classic up next with Alden's, and so they were established in 1884 by Charles H. Alden in Middlesbrough, Massachusetts. I've got a pair of theirs, and honestly, some of the most comfortable shoes that I've ever owned. Ones I have my eye on now are the unlined suede penny loafer that Trunk are doing. I have like a rounder toe cap and like a mid-height vamp, and a really beautiful colour as well. Duke and Dexter are up next, and if you're a bit more of a casual person, and especially if you're like, if you don't like the idea of wearing really formal like classic shoes, but you still want to get into loafers, these could be a really great shout. Like they do have some really like out there stuff with like imagery on the toes and different sort of I think there's like sort of like leopard print on them as well. But they also have like they have like a leather and rattan one, which I personally really like. That would probably be the one I'd go for. They have like that in black and in brown. And I think that goes so nice. You can wear them with like some ecru or some lighter colour trousers or with like jeans. And then they also just have some simple suede penny loafers as well, and they go for around about £250, so they're not something that's really going to break the bank. And from modernity we go to something very classic with Edward Green next. So they were founded in 1890, and pretty much they haven't really changed the way they make shoes in the process since then. There's some really beautiful well-made classic shoes, and unfortunately I haven't had the chance to own a pair yet. They do go for about £1,200, so they are a real investment piece. But in terms of like classic shoemaking, you can't get much better than this. And it says here they've had clientele from men like Ernest Hemingway to the Duke of Windsor, so pretty good cosign there. From British heritage shoemaking to Italian now with Tod's. Again, iconic shoes, a little bit sleeker in their silhouette, still a beautiful pair of shoes, and they do, for me, whenever I think of Tod's, I think about wearing them in like on holiday, like the shape of them, wearing them with a pair of shorts or like with some linen trousers. So they go for around about £640. They can go a bit higher, up to like 800, but really beautiful shoes. If you do like that slimmer silhouette, these could be a good option. The next brand is one that I feel is one of the most underrated, and that's Loafer. I feel like when I buy a pair of Loafers, I'm getting more than what I paid for my money. Like their shoes go for around about £250 to like £300, and honestly, they're so well made. They're simple, they're classic. You can't really ask for too much more, especially for that price. And the ones I've had, they've worn really well. They're super comfortable, and they don't show any sign of like letting up either. One of the more recent brands that have been brought to my attention is Mirchrist, and that's only because I've just been confident enough to say their name out loud. But from what I've seen so far, I've been super impressed with them. Originally from Stockholm, and they now have a store in London, and I think the shoes are put together in Portugal. And I think these are just a fantastic versatile shoe, and for £280 I think that's pretty reasonable. And I think they're really similar to our next brand, which is Morjas. On my last vlog, I was wearing a pair of their brown suede tassel loafers, and I walked all over London with them and was so impressed with how comfortable they were. Relatively slim in terms of a silhouette, really comfortable, really well made, and for £330, really great value as well. Next up we have Sebago, which is named after Maine's deepest lake. So it's an American heritage brand which specialises in hand-sewn loafers and boat shoes. And that does sort of tell with, they're a bit more casual in terms of the shape of them. them. The ones I particularly like are the classic Dan suede penny loafers. These are hand sewn loafers made from like supple suede. They look very soft, very comfortable, and for £220, a very reasonable price as well. Right, so next up we have Ducals. These are an Italian brand, and I tried a few of these on in selfies a little while ago, and was really impressed. They're like £350. You can find them online sometimes for a little bit cheaper. The ones I tried on had like a bit of a sleeker sort of last to them, a little sleeker shape to them, which I really liked. But they have a few different variations, and especially the suede penny loafers in particular, I really enjoyed. But probably not the most well-known brand, but I do feel like I've had a few people recommend them to me. When I tried them on, I was super impressed, and I think for the price, it's pretty reasonable. So next up, we have an absolute icon. I got a bit of stick for leaving off my last video, and I don't know why I did. Maybe because it was just a bit on the nose, but this is the Gucci, and obviously with the horsebit loafer, I think it was Alden Gucci who introduced the horsebit loafer to the world, and yeah, it's one of my favorites. It's an absolute icon. But to be honest, I haven't owned a pair of Gucci shoes for such a long time. I think it's like the mid 2000s, like logo mania, when we spent all our money on like anything Gucci or Burberry, or like D&G. Absolute icon of a shoe. The ones I really like now, they've got these chocolate brown suede horsebit loafers, which are around about like £700, but you can pick some up. There's one on Farfetch right now for like £486. But yeah, worth being on here just for the heritage and the history of creating one of the best designed shoes ever made. Staying in Italy, we have Scarosso. So this is definitely one of the most recommended brands I had from previous videos. I haven't owned a pair of these, but the ones I really like are the Renato dark brown suede loafers, and they're £265. So very reasonable price. They do have a few other different sort of shapes for around about the same price point. Simple, clean, no nonsense shoes, and as I say, I've been recommended them by people quite a lot. So definitely one worth checking out. Pompeii is our next one, and this is a Spanish brand. These are really interesting. So I got a pair of these because I really wanted to try the like contrasty shoe, you know, like a crew top, be it like canvas or suede, and like paired with like brown. But I was never sure about actually taking the plunge and spending money on shoes that I would wear, but then would I wear it that much, and does it go with a lot of my wardrobe? Then I saw Pompeii's one which had a sort of like darker suede rather than like the ecru color. For £150, you can experiment a bit more with that sort of price. So I got these in, really impressed with them. I've worn them a few times, got a load of compliments on them as well. For the price point, I think they're a fantastic option, especially if you want to try something a bit different. And that brings us to our final brand, and that's Russell & Bromley, a much underloved brand in my opinion, because I don't see too many guys going out there and buying Russell & Bromley shoes. When I've had a couple of pairs of them, both tassel loafers, and I've always really impressed. They are really well made, they're comfortable, and for £275, they're a pretty good price as well. Russell & Bromley may not be like the sexiest brand in the sort of menswear sort of sphere, but it's definitely one worth considering in my opinion. So that was my list of like 33 shoes, or however many we've went through. It's actually getting dark outside as well, so I better end the video pretty quickly. Let me know in the comments below which ones I inevitably missed out. Also, if you have any personal experience with any of the shoes on the list, drop them in the comments as well, because I think people find it really helpful when they're deciding like what to buy, just getting different points of view, so that can be really helpful. I'll also drop a link to the Substack post with the full list of all the shoes and brands that we've mentioned in this video as well in the description. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.